everyone, welcome back, and in this video I'll be giving you some information on incremental versus iterative product development. So these two are very confusing terms and most of us tend to get confused and we get mixed up with the two terms. So in this video I'll be giving you a little information on what both means. So let's get into it. So I'm bad at taking pictures and making pictures on my own. So therefore Google is one helpful assistant to me. So if you go to Google and you type out iterative versus incremental. So if you see here in images, I found this image which was very useful. So when you look at iterative, iterative development, you can see the difference comparing to incremental. So the main differences over here, if you see in iterative, you have from the beginning, you have at least the outline of the ultimate end product. Whereas in incremental, you can see that the product or the end product is being developed or designed in a part basis. Okay, and this is not my own image. I've taken it from Google, and therefore here I've given all the I've given the information, so I'm not taking any credit for this image. So with this, let's get and go in and see what is the difference between iterative and incremental. So I hope you got a little bit of understanding of how both differ. So now when you look at both, in incremental, modules are developed individually as parts. Okay, so let's take for a product, let's assume that this is the final product that you're trying to build, your team is trying to build. So when you go to incremental, it's always developed in parts. Okay, so let's say these are individual modules that make up the entire product. So in incremental, it's developed in parts, whereas in iterative, development consists of all or maybe few modules with specific features. Okay, so if you see here, this is the entire product. So you're not just focusing on any individual part. You're focusing on the entire product but with limited features. So if you see in the very first version, you have the outline, you have all your modules in place, and you're having limited features. You have avoided colors, you have avoided details, but at least you have the outline of the product. So that's the very first based important point. The next one is mostly the value is seen towards or at the end of the entire development. When you see, in contrast to this, the value is seen at each release. So take this example over here. So if you see the value, just by having this over here, a single part in incremental, there's no much value. What do I see in this? What do I get to appreciate? There's no value. But when you look at the iterative one, the very first version, there is some value. At least you have a drawing. You know what the drawing is trying to depict. You know what details the drawing has. There's something that you can see and admire. So that's the difference between the incremental and iterative development. The next one is you do not, okay, this is not so. You do not get to see the big picture at the beginning. So as I said, with incremental, you do not get to see the picture in the beginning. But whereas for iterative, you get to see the big picture at the very beginning itself. Okay. The next one is teams fail to get feedbacks at the beginning stage. But in contrast, if you see for iterative, the feedbacks keep coming in from the very start. So since you have something to show to your customer and clients, they are able to give you feedbacks. Now, if you see in this image over here, the hand is facing towards the chin. Okay. When you have this in place, clients and customers would be able to see the big picture and they might say that they want the hands to be folded. But when you give this to a client or a customer, whereas in incremental, you give a part, this part does not make any sense to them. They are not able to see the entire big picture of the product. And what feedbacks can they give over here? You hardly get any feedbacks. First of all, you would not be able to even take this to the client and show them, hey, this is what I've done. They would not have any idea of what you're trying to develop. They wouldn't have an idea of what's being developed and what's the value out of that. Neither they would have an idea of what are you approaching or what is your next set of developments. The next one is the project is at a high risk of failing to meet customer expectations in incremental. Whereas in iterative, the project is always in a safe state as customers having visibility of what's being built. Okay, so if you see over here, so at the very first stage in an iterative, at least the customers get to see what's being done. They are able to provide feedbacks, and yes, this is the so the that the customers are a little bit happy with the product. They've given you few feedbacks, and if that's being incorporated, then the product should be fine. That shows that how well your team is in a safe state, because you're getting constant feedbacks from clients, and also the clients have a visibility of what's being developed. But let's say this in incremental basis, when you just keep developing in parts, sometimes you're not able to get feedbacks. Again, you're doing part wise. Maybe at a point of time when you have almost everything ready, there can be a chance where the client says this is not what I expected. So if you see, when you start developing incrementally, there's always a higher risk later on at the later stage, where the clients may not be accepting what's being developed because they didn't know what was being developed all this while. They did not have visibility. You never got their feedbacks also. You just assumed and you developed the product. So always in incremental, there's always a higher chance of not meeting customers' expectations. So these two are the base differences between incremental and iterative. So long I was explaining with this image. Now let's see little more in a product wise and a perspective from a product. So this is an example over here. Let's say we have three modules. Okay, I'm just trying to develop a e-commerce website. So my three major modules are product, cart, and make payment. So if you see an iterative base, okay, the team focuses on modules. So let's say the team has prioritized the product module, and the team has developed this intensive product module with different stories, which is view catalog, search, filter by catalog, preview the product details, and view product details. So now, once this is developed, let's say, what will the customer, or let's say the end user, what will the end user actually do with just a list of products? Does this give value to the end user? No. Why? Why it does not give value? You might ask me, why not it doesn't give the end user value? You might say that, see, there's a product over there, you're able to view the product details, you're able to search and filter. But you need to think about what is the ultimate aim of your customer. The ultimate aim of your customer is the customer should be able to purchase a product, but you are just giving them the facility to just browse products and view product details, but still they are not able to achieve their goal. And that's why incremental basis does not deliver immediate value to customers. Now let's see for iterative. In iterative, you have this in iterative development, you have the same modules. Let us take the same example. You have the same modules, which is product, cart, and make payment. But now you're not just going to focus on one module. You're going to go the other way around, and you're going to cover all modules. Okay, and when you try to cover all modules, definitely you would not be able to complete all stories, because that's not possible when you work with iterations in agile. So you would prioritize what can go in for your first slice, for your first release. So once you prioritize it, let's say for the first release, you say that within product, view catalog is important. And once the customer is able to view a catalog under cart, the customer should be able to add a product to the cart. And after adding product to the cart, the customer should be able to make a cash on delivery option so that it can be delivered. Okay, so with this in mind, now the customer is going to be able to complete their end goals. The customer would be able to browse a product, they would be able to add a product to the cart, and they would be able to check off the option cash on delivery, because in the first iteration itself you won't be able to maybe do online payments, etc. So you can go with a simplistic approach. But with this very approach, you would still have happy customers with your e-commerce site, because they would be able to purchase products. Okay, so that's the difference between incremental versus iterative. So always, if you see in agile, it's more of iterative, because agile always seeks to deliver constant value and also works on feedbacks. So you get feedbacks, you incorporate feedbacks, and you deliver value continuously. So I hope this video was helpful and useful to you. So if you liked this video, please do give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and also do share your feedbacks. Thank you.